Hi, Davi here, and today we have a new episode in the Art Podcast series here on YouTube. And today we'll be talking about balancing your, or my, or our weaknesses and strengths, or like what exactly should we be focusing more on? Should we develop our strengths more, or should we work on and improve, basically fix our weaknesses? And essentially, I think you do have to do both. I know that's kind of a cop out answer, like, oh, both sides, here we go again. But there is I do think you need to lean more on your strengths because that's pretty much your base. Consider your strengths, your natural inclinations, your talent, if you have any, as your base. So exchange the word strength with your base. Your base it could be the way you hold your pen, the program you typically use, or you're comfortable with, the topics you like. Those types of things that you don't really need to think about. It's just sort of there. So think of those as your strengths, right? Your weaknesses are something that how I frame it anyway is, for example, for me, I do know I tend to paint, as you can see me now, I tend to paint big, or I don't tend to draw. I mean, I know in the last episode I did try drawing, but I mean, I can, but it seems like my natural inclination is to just paint something. And I'm not sure why, but it just turns out that way. I mean, I've tried drawing, sketching, rendering, painting, all sorts of different techniques to approach art, but I think this kind of approach where I just go, where I'm just direct, and think Anthony Jones, Feng Zhu, these types of people. It's kind of just, I consider this my strength, where I don't really have to think about it as much, right? So my weaknesses, I consider, for me, and maybe this can apply to you, just change the subject, but my weaknesses, I think, would have to be detail. And I'll know this whenever I see someone's artwork. For example, let me just bring in my PureRef file here, and these are some pieces of Nivanh Chanthara, and I will link his work in the description below, or his pages. But whenever I look at his work, there is a sort of, let me just expand this. There is a sort of delicacy, like the detail I like. I do know all of this black and white stuff, this line work here. That's basically a photo texture, and then there's some kind of filter in it. I'm not sure, but I'm sure this is easily achievable that way. But that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to, because he does draw them usually in the sketchbook first, and then kind of like this one, and then he'll refine it in Photoshop to make it a more understandable line work, and then he'll do the coloring. And even though this is not my process, I mean, look at this. It's not my process, but it's still something that intrigues me a lot, and it's attractive, and I kind of want to incorporate that in my own work. But the thing is, here's the thing, I'm not good at this sort of detail, which means this would have to be my weakness. It's something that I want to do, or I want to kind of incorporate. It's, number one, I'm attracted to it, so I like looking at the thing, but also I feel intuitively like I want to bring that something here into my own work. So how do I balance just sticking to the more direct impressionistic painting style and working on the other weakness, which is adding this kind of delicate touch in my work? So that's kind of the issue that I'm dealing with. And obviously, it's, even though it's not my process, I still want to bring it into my work. And how I should do that, I don't know, but I think I have some ideas. Ooh. And let me just bring this away. I think. Wait, how long have I been talking? 5 minutes? Okay. I think. Uh, I think I mentioned this already in the beginning of this episode. Think of what your base is, and your base will basically be your strength. Consider that your strength, your strength. And what you want to do. Let me just illustrate it here. So this is your base, right? Consider this part your strengths, even if you don't think they're strengths, because I know sometimes you will doubt yourself. Oh, I'm not really good at this thing. It's sort of this self-deprecation thing that a lot of artists do. So please just ignore that side of your brain. Just think of this word instead. Your base. It's kind of your core ideas, right? Your habits, your routines. Again, your the subjects you typically like to indulge in, stuff like that. So make this the center of your thing. That's an ugly circle. And then what you want to do, for example, in this case, I want that Nivanh Chanthara, right? Nivanh, huh? I think that's the spelling. So this thing is out of my base. My base, this is my core base. So what I want to do is to make sure that I know what this is. I can't deny it. I have to accept the fact that this is typically what I do, what I tend to like, and stuff like that. But if I want to improve my something, in this case, this will be my weakness, specifically like detail. Am I saying it right? Oh shit. So I basically have to go out here, all the way out of my base, out of my strength, and work on my weakness being detail. So I think I should spend time-wise 90%, I guess, here, and then maybe 10% here. In this way, I don't have to give all of myself to my weaknesses, because I do think you need to have like a really strong bias towards what you already know and what you can do and what your natural things are, or what you have. And from there, spend some time working on like 10% more or less, maybe even less, like 5%. So lazy, working on your weakness. And what you want to do here is you need to have a certain mindset, because I have to remember that as much as I enjoy this kind of work, I am not Nivanh Chanthara. Like this guy, like this whole thing, this is his base. I can't beat a guy or a chick whose base is not mine, you know? Because basically what I'm doing here is I'm going into this person's kingdom, this person's territory. And if this is their castle, I'm using so many like what's the word? Similes or metaphors here. That's an ugly castle. Like I'm going to be catapulted and arrows will be shot from, you know, the yeah. And I'll die. So I'm not gonna make it, right? Oh. So there's no point in trying to think that I'm going to be able to do this from the beginning and be able to do everything that Nivanh does. So the shift here is to make Nivanh, or the idea of details, sort of the direction. And then what I want to do is just take one step towards that direction. So basically my entire foundation is here, my entire foothold is here, my entire kingdom is here. What I essentially want to do is create like a path, a road, build some roads, right? So I can sort of branch out. So think of the base I have, or the base you have, as a trunk. And then whenever you're interested in something, say you're really into someone's colors, maybe you're not good in colors, you're so fascinated by the color kind of composition or schemes of a certain artist. If this is your base, your first major step would be to identify what your base is and stick to it. Don't try to fight it. Just understand that, oh shit, I'm just different this way. And then when you like something from someone else, you branch out. You try to expand your roots a bit, but you make sure when you expand that route towards the thing you want to do, you want to make it relate, or you want to build off of what you already have. So how does this look like? Like how will this look like in my case? So if I'm this guy, let's say I have this, let me just bring this higher a bit. So let's say this is my base. I'm very impressionistic. And I like painting a lot. I'm not really a good draftsman. Or I won't frame it that way. I'll say I'm just not typically a drawer. Like I don't do line work as much. I just tend to habitually, naturally paint. Right? So what I'll do, let me just find the brush. So to work on this one step towards the land of Nivanh Chanthara, I'll keep doing what I'm doing by painting and stuff like that. But I'll try to say, I'll just bring this page here just so you can see. Right here, let's say this space is really kind of cool. I'll just try to move towards this thing. I don't have to finish, like my end painting or illustration doesn't have to look like his work, but if I keep this in the back of my head or kind of on the side as a reference, let me just try and make something here. So let's say we'll make this a block of some sort. If this is how I do things, big strokes, very painterly, very direct. I typically avoid using layers as much, just because of convenience, and I'm just used to painting things largely. Right, so if this is my thing, let me just paint some hard surfaces here on top. So I'm trying to draw the tank, basically, but let me just do the silhouettes, right? So we have the gun here. Shit, it's so ugly, but so let's say this is the trunk part of the tank, or the turret rather, right? So this is the turret, whatever. So my aim would simply be to just add these parts. Hopefully you can see my mouse. You see these parts over here where there's a lot of folds from the because I'm sure there's a lot of like mechanical parts within that, but oftentimes in a lot of like modern day machinery, they tend to cover it just for protective purposes, because sometimes you do see a lot of like wiring inside. So obviously it makes sense to kind of contain it, right? So the one step I could do is to just implement this fold protective clothing part to my work. And all I have to do is just paint it. I don't have to draw it like he does. I don't have to do this, I can just let's say if I'm going to like let's say this is the leg. All I have to do, I won't draw it the way he does. I'm going to use what I already know, or what I do, and I'll do this, right? I will just paint in the shadows and indicate those folds. Maybe it helps if I had or if I use the lasso fill, but I'm not going to do that because I want to show you that if this is how I typically do things, by painting, then I can just, do you see how it looks already better? Right? Now I am kind of drawing a bit, but that's kind of how I draw. Like I draw and paint at the same time. Like the way I paint is the way I draw. Like for example, if I want to fill in a big space, I'll do this. So big stroke, and then when I want to draw something, it's the same brush. And then I'll paint with or I'll draw with a small brush. draw, right? But I'm not exactly drawing because I don't have like line work. So I just change the brush size often, right? Let me just do this. Maybe there's some kind of leg here. Shit, sorry. Or the feet. I'm not sure how to draw the feet, but we'll just make it a silhouette. Block it out kind of like this. Do you see how it looks kind of better? Right? If this is how I typically do things, big strokes, and if I want to implement the Nivanh Chanthara energy, and I'm really interested in these sorts of delicate like shadows and folds, instead of starting the way he starts it by drawing, by doing the line work, cleaning up the line work, and then doing like flats underneath, and then rendering that way, I'll just start here with my natural impressionistic painting self, and then I'll try and apply this one step towards the direction of Nivanh Chanthara, but in relation to my base, right? So hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. If you don't get what I'm trying to say, I have failed you as an instructor, but right? So for me, what this would mean, being more delicate with the shadows. Maybe that's the step. Being more, using sharper, more triangular shadows. Because if you look at this part right here, I do see a lot of like triangles. Now it's hard to see, but let me just use a different tool here so you can see it better. I do have a lasso fill tool. Is this it? Oh shit, this guy. Let's use maybe this kind of light gray. We'll just do this, right? Now if you look at this shadow part right here, let me use a darker value, and like this one. Let me just make a new layer so I won't waste so much time. And then I'll make that into a clipping mask. Okay, there you go. I want to bring in this part right here. You see this? Focus on this part. And look at the way the shadows are very kind of triangular-ish. They're very small, they're very delicate, and I see a lot of like these sorts of small like leaves. I'll just call them leaves. And they sort of indicate or suggest the folds, right? And here I do see like a big mass of shadow. And look at how it looks like bark. If you've ever seen like a broken branch or trunk of a tree, you do see a lot of these like basic little thingies. And it does suggest, maybe we'll do a little bit of that here, right? Some patching here. I think there's some kind of zipper here to kind of open up the entire like thing. But look at how you were able to suggest, or we were able to suggest, the folds, all simply because of adding the shadows. I did not again have to draw it or do it like Nivanh Chanthara. I like his work. I want some of that in my own work. So I think the takeaway here is, instead of going into his base and starting the way he starts, doing it the way he does, find out what you actually like about his work. Find that one thing that can kind of go in that direction of whoever you're inspired by, and do it from your base. I think that's a takeaway. Do it or expand. Let me go back here. Expand. If this is your base. Shit. Let me oh my god. Where's my brush? Let me use the red marker because, or a red color. If this is your base. What the fuck is this? Sorry, let me just, oh my god. I was in a clipping mask. Anyway. Where's my brush? Oh my god, I have so many like, I need to organize my set because I'm kind of getting pissed at my own self. If this is my base and you want to go in his direction, in whatever direction, in this case in the the detail work of Nivanh Chanthara over here in my Pure file. Then I'll expand one step from my base towards his direction, towards the thing that I want to kind of apply to my own work, but it has to be from my base. So in this case, if I'm so good, or if I'm so naturally inclined to kind of paint this way anyway, then why should I do the whole like line work, kind of thing, and and then do the cleanup in Photoshop, whatever, and do the flats underneath, and then color it kind of this way. Remember, as much as it's nice to look at, it doesn't mean it's for you. I remember hearing this concept or this analogy, I guess. Like when you go to a museum or any kind of art space, there are some pieces of artwork that it's so nice to look at, and you just can't seem to take your eyes off of it. But you think about it, is it a piece? Is it a painting that you actually want to keep in your own space, in your own home, in your own apartment, in your own room, in your own office space? Even if something looks good, it doesn't mean it's going to apply to you. It doesn't mean that it's going to be for you in that sense. It's kind of like a chick. I'm going to reverse it. So whether it's a chick or a guy, even if you're attracted to that someone, it doesn't mean you actually want to be with that person. They're just nice to look at from afar. But in other areas, you're just not compatible, and you're not really going to be into that person in that kind of way. So in this case, you want to apply that in your own art as well. Like, as much as I like Nivanh Chanthara's work, like, number one, I can't be him. I am not him, but I can learn from him. I can be inspired by him. And the way to do that is to simply, let me just go back here. Ooh, there you go. Ooh. And the way to do that is to take that one step from your base towards the thing you're trying to that you're attracted to, and you want to kind of bring into your own world. So think of this part right here as you kind of rooting out or stretching your hand out. So this is your main body, this is your torso, this is your hand, this is your arm, just going out, it's reaching out and trying to grab something, right? But make sure you're grabbing from where you are. Please don't deny this part, because if you keep going the route of, I like the way this kind of anime artist does their work, I love, for example, Tsukimi-chan likes using a lot of soft brushes, very basic brushes, not much texture. It's nice to look at, but it doesn't mean it's for me. That's not the way I like to paint. I like to paint in this kind of messy way, So figure out, number one, what your base is. Your base is basically your strengths. Just use the word base, because you're going to start, the whole there's a term for it that artists kind of like doubt, like imposter syndrome. So just use the word base, just to deal with that issue. And if you really don't like the word weakness, maybe it triggers you or something, and it's just so negative, like, think of it as your interests that you're not good at. Or the thing you want to kind of reach out to. Think of the hand over here, right? So if this is what I want, if this whole part right here is something that delicate kind of intricate part, and I want to bring that into my impressionistic, really bold, painterly kind of style, then I'll do it. I'll try to reach for this thing in the way I can. And for me, in this kind of example over here, I did it through this. Through adding intricate shadows. And look at how better it looks. Look at how more... Let me just clean up the edges here. Jesus. Going back to my painting, let me use maybe a flat brush or something. Maybe this guy. And instead of like, oh shit, it's so like big. Oh, that's what she... Okay. Right? I can just clean up the edges and make it more, do the triangles. I think I mentioned triangles. Like, look at how very triangular the shadows are. Maybe I can apply that when I do the shadows of this thing, right? I mean, right? It's kind of bad now, but you know what I mean? Like, look at how more foldy it looks. Right? Let me just add this kind of lighter gray. And maybe the smaller brush strokes to indicate, again, the leaves. I think I called it leaves. They're like artifacts that kind of suggest like there's some kind of a thing covering the mechanical parts. Right? Now it's a bit messy, but I think this example is way better. Right? All I have to do is simply apply the one step that I can do to reach out from my base is to simply change the way I do the shadows. Make it more tighter, make it slimmer, make it more triangular, add more artifacts or these quote-unquote leaves, right? This kind of like, because to me they look like leaves, and that's a way for me to kind of reach out and apply Nivang's like visual language of sorts into my own work. But this one is really messy and I'm not really a fan of it, but and it's not just the shadows. I do see a part here. Let me just bring out my Epic pen. Oh shit, by the way, PureRef has a new it has a draw mode now. Oh shit, pretty cool. Look at this. We have the intricate parts right over here, right? This is think of it's very slim, it's very triangular, very sharp. But we also have like a really almost like a secondary thing. Look at this. It's sort of a shadow, but not really. It's more of a way to indicate that there is a different side to this massing over here. So it just adds that extra 3D effect. So how would we apply this in the let me just go back to my Clip Studio file here. Oh, so if this is the shadows, I'll make a new layer, right? Make that a clipping mask. Go to my lasso fill stuff, and then make it like I'll put this maybe under multiply, and then I'll pick this kind of gray, and we'll add that second. It's a type of value that's not too far apart from the base color. Shit. Let me just bring this baby out. Ooh. So if this is the base color, just slightly below it, right? There you go. And we'll try to see how that works, right? We'll try to copy and do this sort of thing. Look at that. Whoa, do you see that? Oh my god, Dave, oh shit. I am him. Do you see how it looks extra 3D? Look at this. Oh my god. So basically what I'm doing is I want to apply this to my painting. Now obviously I may not use the lasso fill as much, but I have to find a way to achieve this. Let me just go back here. Achieve this and apply it in a painting style like this, right? So this is sort of the happy medium, but obviously I'm not really painting here. I'm more of like, I mean, it is painting with the lasso fill tool, but I basically want to apply these ideas over to my general base, and that's this kind of direct painting style. So for me, it's going to be, I guess, two things. Number one, the shadows. What about the shadows? Very small, very slim, very kind of triangular. Think of flowers or think of leaves. These sorts of like artifacts, right? And number two, would have to be a secondary. It's not a shadow. It's kind of a. It's not really a shadow. It's more of a. Well, it is a shadow. Secondary. Shadow. It's more for just to add a bit of mass. You can see it over here, right? Right? It's obviously in the under part of the thing. So it's kind of a shadow, but it's not a cast shadow. It's more of a lighter shadow. So basically the way, again, to kind of finalize my thoughts here, the way to do it is to do my shadow work. Ooh. Shadow work. My 2-tier, I'll call it a 2-tier shadow system. Ooh, based shadow system, right? And that's it. That's all I have to do to kind of balance my strength or my base and the weakness or the inspiration that I kind of want to reach out to and apply and bring in to my own work. So find the ones. Oh fuck, that's ew. Let me just put this guy away. Damn, taking too much space. So yeah, figure out what your base is. Figure out something you want to copy or what you kind of want to apply to your own work. Find that one step from your base that's sort of in the direction of where you want to go. Again, don't try to do it the way that other person does because that's their base. The crucial part here is you need to stand, and when you take this one step, it has to be from your own like field. It can't be from someone else's because you're going to have to restart everything in a way. And not only that, you're doing something that's not even you, or it's not even in your kind of field. So you're basically going to be an even worse subpar version of the other person you're trying to emulate or copy from or learn from, right? So figure out what that one step is and try to identify. You do need to identify what that one thing is. For me, it's the intricateness, the detailness, and find a way to find out what that one step is. So for me, it's going to be my one step is working on the 2-tier shadow system. The super dark shadows over here. Shit. Right? So shadow 1, we'll call it shadow 1 and then shadow 2. Which is the gray lighter version, right? And that's it. Just add those two things into my own paintings, and that's basically the balance. Now let me just work on this a bit because it looks so like messy. Maybe a different brush might help. And you'll see me, this is kind of how I draw anyway. Like it's so impressionistic, and it can kind of ruin the details often. But then again, that's who I am. That's who I am. And again, don't fight it. Just accept the fact that you're kind of the way you are, and just make use of it, own it, live it. I do like the artifact ideas. Maybe I'll use more of the lasso fill, or use more of the lasso fill tool, because by the way, Photoshop, there are extensions in Photoshop for this kind of thing, the lasso fill, but it's kind of buggy, and there is a lag to it, and it's just not as fast as Clip Studio Paint. No, the problem with Clip Studio Paint is whenever you select something and move things around, like photo manipulation, or just using the lasso tool and then moving, just trying to manipulate huge chunks of like parts or images. Clip Studio Paint is just so weak in that area. I mean, I get it. It's designed for more like drawing, painting, animating. So my example here is way better. But you get the point. Maybe the brush, I need to find a way to be more, uh, I guess I have to be even smaller, or I have to use an even smaller brush. Let me just use a different, something with the point, I guess. Oh, there you go. Right? I don't see lots of triangles, so I need to fix that. So I need to use a brush that has a bit of a point to it, because if I want to achieve this kind of triangular tip, I'm going to have to keep making the brush smaller often, and it's just too tedious that way. I mean, look at how fast I was with this example. Remember, I'm trying to apply it to my own natural painting style. So I need to find a way to add these details to achieve this look. You see this kind of thinking? Trying to apply it to my own thing. So figure out what your base is, then try to find a way to step off from your own base. But your base has to be there. And that one step, that one adjustment you have to make, it has to apply to you, and you have to find a solution. So for me, I know what to work on. I found that one step is basically this 2-tier shadow system. But the extra problem I have is trying to achieve it in painting form. This is great and all, but I did use the lasso fill tool. How often do I personally use the lasso fill tool? Since I like painting this way anyway, I have to find a way to achieve this through this, right? So that kind of thinking I think helps. So for me, maybe a pointy brush of some kind. Let me just find the brush here. But it kind of looks okay. I'm coping. It doesn't look, I don't like it. I'll say that. Let me just find, this is it. You know, I do like using some flat brushes, so maybe that can work. Kind of like this. Look at how I was adding too many shadows in this part. Let me just make it even thinner over here. Ooh. Erase that part. And just be jaggedy, be jaggedy. Be small and be quick, be jaggedy. And be minimal about it. So basically, think of the base first. And the secondary, this thing over here, it has to be a lighter version. Not too like in the middle between the dark shadow and the base color. The look I want is, again, the Nivanh Chanthara thing, or version. There you go. Oh shit, do you see that? Let me just add some folds here. There you go. Look at that. Artifacts, leaves. Let's break this. Like this. To show like the folds, the intricateness. To kind of suggest it. You don't have to, since I'm not really good with line work anyway, why try to be that kind of guy when you're not even that guy, you know? Again, acceptance. You're just if you're a painter kind of person, very impressionistic, then just own it. You know, don't fight it. Just accept it, right? Oh yeah. There you go. And if we go back to his work here, let me just add one more thing. Do you see how in between this base color and the shadow, or the secondary shadow, he sort of adds this lighter line? You see this kind of sometimes in anime, I guess. Or the way mechas are done in anime. I could do that here, but I'll try something different. I'll make it a darker shadow or a darker value. Right? Oh, do you see that? Oh shit. Maybe it's too much, but do you see my point? And then let me just do this. I think it's being too strong. Make the lines thicker or thinner, sorry. And secondary shadow over here. Do you see? It's not bad. It's pretty good. Add the secondary shadow here, right? And I think we'll add that second or third note. Let me just bring in what to say. I'm trying to find the brush I used earlier. Man, I have so many. Okay, I'm getting pissed. Is this it? Oh, I found it. Oh my god. The third thing is the bonus tip would have to be the line. The special line. The one here. Right? In between the secondary shadow and the base color. So that's it for this kind of podcast, and hopefully this helps you in some way. And maybe this was supposed to be a process video, but I guess this is more of an idea kind of a video where, you know, I try to give you some advice and stuff. So try to find the thing you want to kind of apply, or that you want to bring into your own work. It's obviously not in your base. So for me, it's this kind of work right here. It's not in my realm, but I'm very attracted to it. I want it inside me. Ooh. So what you want to do is, if we go back to this thing, find this one step. Let me just use a different pen here. Jesus Christ. Find that one step from your own base and figure out, excuse me. And that step has to be in the direction of the thing you want, but make sure you want to make it relate to you. You can't just start drawing or doing it the way the other person does. Try to think of a way to do this whole thing and apply that into your own work. So hopefully this episode has helped you in some way. Let me just check my time here. It's been 43 minutes. I try to aim for 30 because sometimes it feels like it's so long if it's like 40 minutes. So, but anyway, hopefully this helps you in some way, and I'll see you in the following episode. Bye.